What you know about these objects could mean a difference between winning and losing to the team which finds itself in the middle of a quandary. And now, the host of our show, Mr. William Thomas.
Thank you, and welcome to Quand'ry, the exciting game show which pits our young panel of regulars against a group of aspiring challengers as they attempt, in a limited period of time, to answer a series of complicated questions prepared especially for us by a team of teachers and educators. Our game is divided into 4 rounds. A first round in which the questions are worth 10 points each, a second round in which the questions are worth 20 points each, and a third round in which the questions are worth 30 points each. Now, during any of the first 3 rounds, a horn may sound. Which will indicate that it's time for one of our special envelopes containing one of our extra tough logic questions. Then, at the end, it's on to our big bonus question worth 100 points to either or both of our teams, and which could well make the difference between winning and losing for today's game players. Now, let's start off by introducing our quick-witted regulars. At my immediate left, Mr. Dave Power. Miss Liz Betterly. And Mr. Brian Clapper. And visiting us today, our challenging team, Mr. Fred Krause, Miss Jenny Thompson, and Mr. Brian Casey. Okay, let's begin. Round 1 has a duration of 5 minutes, and the questions are worth 10 points each. I caution the members of our studio audience, please not to call out any of the answers should you know them. Now, the questions will get harder and harder as the game goes along. The theme of the first round is the presidents and the presidency. And challengers, we begin with you. True or false? Presidents William Henry Harrison and Benjamin Harrison were not related.
True answers. Whatever.
True.
False. They were related. William was Benjamin's grandfather. Regulars. What president served longest in the White House?
Franklin D. Roosevelt.
That's correct. Roosevelt served for 12 years in the White House. Challengers. Who was the only president to resign from office?
Nixon.
That's correct. Regulars. Who was the only president who was not elected to the office of vice president from which he moved to the White House?
Gerald R. Ford.
That's correct. Challengers. What president was cited for valor as a naval officer?
I thought you did. Take a guess. Take a guess.
I have no idea.
All right. Say No, we don't know.
We don't know.
You don't know. Well, let's see if our regulars know. Regulars, which president was cited for valor as a naval officer?
Yes, I want to say it.
Go ahead.
Eisenhower.
He was in the Army. You're wrong. It was John Kennedy, who, for those of you who have seen the motion picture PT 109. Okay, regulars, let's give you your question. Speaking of John Kennedy, what was his middle name?
Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald. Yeah, that's not middle name.
Fitzgerald.
Correct. Challengers. The horn has sounded, indicating it's time for one of our extra tough logic questions, going to our challengers. Now, these logic questions are more based on your ability to deduce and induce rather than your factual knowledge. So listen carefully to each word. Logic question number 1 for 30 points. Hank Bent, the old trapper, has been out on his trap line in northern Minnesota with the temperature at 50 below zero. He is delayed by a blizzard and, almost frozen, is barely able to stumble into his shack. The shack is extremely cold, but a fire is laid in the stove, all ready to be lit. Hank looks at the stove, at the oil lamp filled with oil, at a candle in its holder, and then twice at the single match that stands between him and death from freezing. Which shall he light first?
She has to light the fire, so he warms up to light the other things.
The fire.
I'm afraid you're wrong. He'll light the match first. Well, perhaps you can redeem yourselves by answering the following question. What two presidents died in office before the age of 50?
Lincoln and Kennedy.
Wrong. Regulars. What two presidents died in office before the age of 50?
Franklin D. Roosevelt and John Kennedy.
Wrong. John F. Kennedy at age 46 and James Garfield at age 49. Okay. Regulars. True or false? Theodore and Franklin Roosevelt were related to an original Dutch settler in New York whose two sons established the two branches of the family, Teddy belonging to one and Franklin to the other. True or false? We have your answer.
True. Say true.
True is correct. Regulars, here's your, challengers. Challengers, what president said in reference to being re-elected to another term, "I do not choose to run"?
Go ahead. We do not choose to answer.
I do not choose to.
Could we have your answer, please?
No.
We don't know.
Well, 1 out of 38. Could you give us a guess? Okay, let's go on. Well, one of them hasn't said that yet. Regulars, do you know which president, when asked whether he'd be reelected or run, said, "I do not choose to run"?
It's not. It's Garfield. Theodore Roosevelt.
Wrong. Theodore Roosevelt did run again in 1912. The answer is Calvin Coolidge. Regulars, here's your question. Which president was born on the 4th of July? Which president was of July?
Yeah, that's it.
Thomas Jefferson died on the 4th of July. Which president was... Okay, come on.
Washington.
Calvin Coolidge. You're wrong. Okay. That's the end of round 1, leaving us with a score of 40-10 favoring our regulars.